Hello kids! Welcome to Teacher Aika's class, and today we are going to have our week 2 lesson. It is about evaluate narratives based on how the author developed the setting and characters. Are you ready? Let's go! Lesson 2, Setting and Characters. The setting of the story refers to the geographic location, places or scene and time within a narrative. Characters in the story refer to the persons or animals around which the story revolves. The setting makes the story vivid and interesting. Usually, the setting is not said directly. Instead, clues are given for the readers to infer. In some stories, however, the setting can change. Time may not be described directly and can move back and forth. The place where the scene is happening can be changed abruptly. While characters in the story refers to the persons, animals, beings, creatures, or things around which the story revolves. Writers are used characters, perform the action, and speak dialogue, moving the story along a plot line. Characters are also an important element in narratives. There are some traits of the characters in a story are shown in various ways. 1. Through the author's use of descriptive words about the characters. 2. By the actions of the characters themselves. 3. By the words coming from the other characters or the narrator in the story. In this lesson, we will explore ways to evaluate narratives based on how the author developed the setting and characters. Before anything else, let's go with what's in. Activity number 1. Identify the proper noun in the following sentences. Write your answers on a piece of paper. 1. Ryan went to the market. 2. The latest iPhone were missing. 3. The group of girls was having fun in Center Plaza Mall. 4. Mrs. Reyes cared for the babies throughout the day. 5. He likes to go swimming in Punta Bell. 6. Mary Ann got a rash and an allergy. 7. After a rainy day, Mr. Johnson checked the electricity box. 8. There were dolphins and sea lions at Ocean Adventure. 9. My classmates are living in Springfield Subdivision. 10. Mimi's height and talent helped her to win the contest. What's new? Activity. You have to solve each problem. Write the corresponding letters from the answer you've got in a piece of paper. This will form words that we will be learning today. Setting is the time and place or when and where of the story. Example of setting? Time. Long ago in the past, there was a young girl named Cinderella. Place. Cinderella's home is in a faraway kingdom. To understand more settings, the given example is the Disney movie Cinderella. The time aspect of the setting changes after her father dies, skipping roughly 10 years into the future. Understanding these changes in time helps in keeping up with the story or narration. Now, let's try this. Read and understand the example below. Let's find the setting in the story. As the sun set in the evening sky, Ryan slowly turned and walked his way home. All was silent and still. Through the window, he could see her older sister Bella watching a Korean movie on a television. Bella came home from the city where she is currently studying. Though it was lonely at times for Ryan being alone in their home, seeing Bella once a month makes him happy. So as we can see, with the example, the time is evening, as the sunset in the evening sky. For the place, Ryan and Bella's home. So for the place, Ryan slowly turned and walked his way home. Okay, next. While characters in the story refers to the persons, animals, beings, creatures, or things around which the story revolves, they are also important elements in narratives. There are some traits of the characters in a story are shown in various ways. So let's see. First, through the author's use of descriptive words about the characters. Example, Ryan is playful and outspoken. The two descriptive words or the adjectives in the sentence are playful and outspoken. 2. By the actions of the characters themselves. Example, Irvin sat under the tree. He is happy being with the dragonflies that dart around the plants and the spiders that make the web among the leaves. So, for number 2, we have the actions. Okay, so the characters are being described by the actions done. Okay, so number 3, by the words coming from the other characters or the narrator in the story. For example, that girl should be more friendly. She keeps to herself most of the time. Okay. Now let's try this. Try to check the story again. Let's see who are the characters. Okay, characters are Ryan and Bella. Okay, good job. Now, let's try another example. Read and understand. Let's identify the setting of the story and let's find out who are the characters in the given story below. Sheila was alone at home when the doorbell rang. Jumping up from her seat, she ran to open the door. "Have you tried this brand of coffee before?" asked the stranger. Sheila was frightened. She was actually expecting her mother at the door. She wanted to shut the door, but it was too late. The salesman had already pushed his way into the house. Now, let's try to check the setting and the characters. The setting is Sheila's home. Well, the characters are Sheila and the stranger or the coffee salesman. Okay, so next we have the opinion. Opinion is an explanation or a judgment about the story or narratives on what you have read. But this is not necessarily based on fact or knowledge. That's why it is called opinion. Basically, it answers the question how and why. Okay, let's see the example. Question in the given story. First, if you were Sheila, would you also open the door? Why or why not? The possible answer is, no, I will not open the door because I'm not sure who knocks. Question number 2. What do you think might happen at the end of the story? Possible answer might be, I think Sheila would be in trouble. Okay, so it is not in the story, but it is your opinion. Next. What's more? So we are going to read a story about the angel by Hans Christian Andersen. Whenever a good child dies, an angel of God comes down from heaven, takes the dead child in his arms, and flies with him over all the places the child had loved during his life. Then he gathers a handful of flowers, which he carries up to the Almighty, that they bloom more brightly in heaven than they do on earth. And God presses the flowers to his heart, but he kisses the flower that pleases him best, and it receives a voice and is able to join the song of the chorus of bliss. The flower grew beautifully, rose, but some wicked hand had broken the stem. The dead child said, "That was pitiful. Let us take it to heaven in God's garden so that it will grow there." The angel took up the rose. Then he kissed the child and the little one half-opened eyes. The angel picked also some beautiful flowers, as well as a few humble buttercups and heart's ease. "Now we have more flowers," said the child. The angel only nodded, and he did not fly upward to heaven. It was quite still in the middle of the night in this great town. They remained still, and the angel came over a small, narrow street. There are dirty plates, pieces of plaster, rugs, old huts, and other things that is not good to see. In all this confusion, the angel pointed to the pieces of a broken flower pot. The earth had been kept from falling flower pot, and to a lump of earth which had fallen out of it. The earth had been kept from falling to pieces by the roots of a withered field flower, which had been thrown by the rubbish. The angel said, "We will take this with us. I will tell you why as we fly." And as they flew, the angel started to tell a story. Down in the narrow alley, in a lower cellar, lived a poor sick boy. He had been troubled from his childhood, and even in his best days, he could just manage walk up and down the room on crutches once or twice. But no more. Some days in summer, the sunbeams would lie on the floor of the cellar for about half an hour. In this spot, the poor sick boy would sit and warming himself in the sunshine. Then he would say he had been out. They knew nothing of the green forest in its spring verdure, till a neighbor's son brought him a green buff from a beech tree. This he would place over his head and fancy that he was in the beech wood, while sun shone. And birds caroled gaily. One day the neighbor's boy brought him some field flowers, and among them was one to which the root still adhered. This he carefully planted by a fortunate hand, for it grew, put forth fresh shoots, and blossomed every year. It became a splendid flower garden to the sick boy, and his little treasure upon earth. He watered it and cherished it and took care of it. It should have the benefit of every sunbeam that found its way into the cellar, from the earliest morning ray to the evening sunset. The flower entwined itself even in his dreams. For him it bloomed, for him it spread its perfume, and it gladdened his eyes, and to the flower he turned. When the Lord called him, he has been 1 year with God. The flower has stood in the window, withered and forgotten. Even this flower, Withered and faded as it is, it gave more real joy than the most beautiful flower in the queen's garden. But why do you know this? He asked. I knew it because I am the sick little boy and I know my own flower very well, said the angel. Then the child opened his eyes and looked into the glorious happy face of the angel. And at the same moment, they found themselves in God's heaven, where all is happiness and joy. The Almighty pressed the child to his chest, and he received white wings, so they can float together with the angels, hand in hand. After that, God pressed all the flowers to his heart, but he kissed the poor withered flower. All were supremely happy, and they all graciously sang, "The God-blessed child," and the withered field flower that had lain so long in the rubbish heap in the narrow, dark alley. Okay, so for activity 1, answer the following questions and name the characters in the given story. Write your answers on a piece of paper. 1. Whenever a good child dies, who comes down from heaven? 2. Who sends an angel to take the dead child? 3. One spring day, who brought some field flowers to the little boy? 4. In the said story of the angel, who is the poor sick little boy that had been bedridden since childhood? 5. Who takes the angel by his arms and flies with him all over the place? Activity number 2. This time you have to identify the setting of the story. Match column A to column B and choose the letter of the correct answer. Again, write it on a piece of paper. Column A. 1. Where the angel of God does come down from. 2. In this place there was everlasting joy and happiness. 3. After they passed over the places where the child used to play, they came to. 4. It has given more happiness than the richest flower in what garden it is. 5. This place was the little sick boy's one and only treasure on earth. So here are the choices for column B. A. God's heaven. B. Beautiful garden. C. Queen's garden. D. Field flowers. E. Gardens with lovely flowers. And F. Heaven. Activity number 3. You have to read the following questions. Write your answer on the given blank. 1. If you were the dead child, what would you feel if there's an angel taking you to heaven and why? 2. Which flowers will you take to plant in heaven and why? What I have learned. Activity number 1. Write a word to complete each sentence. Get the word from the box. So here are the words from the box. Characters, opinion, time and place, vivid and interesting, writers, traits. 1. The setting of the story is the blank or when and where of the story. 2. Blank in the story refers to the persons, animals, beings, creatures, or things around which the story revolves. 3. Blank is an explanation or judgment about the story or narratives on what you have read, but this is not necessarily based on facts or knowledge. 4. Blank are used characters to perform the action and speak dialogue. moving the story along a plot line. 5. Setting of the story makes the story blank. What I can do. So this is another story and we will be reading it again. So all you have to do is to listen very carefully with every detail of the story. The title of the story is God Helps Those Who Help Themselves by Anita A. Bagabaldo. Ching and Lu were brothers. They lived in a 4-story building with many other families. One early dawn in August 1968, the brothers were fall asleep in their room. Suddenly, they were awakened by the strong shaking of the building. Both brothers knew instantly that there was a strong earthquake. In a second, they found themselves buried under the tons of bricks, cement, and wood. Ching and Lu could hardly move. "Come, Lu," Ching said. "Let us try to get out." "How can I when I can hardly move?" whispered Lu. "Try, dear brother, and pray," Ching said. But Lu did not move. On the other hand, Ching tried to get out of the mounds of rocks and wood. He prayed to God to help. Later, he touched the side of a wall. He got a piece of rock and tried to pound on it with all his might. "A miracle!" cried Ching as he heard someone pounding outside the wall. "They heard me at last! I'll be saved!" After long hours of waiting, Ching saw a hole on the wall. Soon, he felt strong hands drawing him out of the wall. Ching was saved, but Lu could not save any more. Help came too late for Lu. He died along with hundreds of people who buried in the building by the strong quake that August dawn. Many people were saved, like Ching. They believed that God would not forsake them if they helped themselves. God helped them indeed. This is a very good story, right? So all you have to do is to do something and God will help you. You have to trust Lord. Okay? So for the activity number 1, you have to find the settings and the characters of the story from the crossword puzzle below. You have to write your answer in a piece of paper in any order. Okay? So there you go. Let's go. Now let's go on with our assessment. This is another story about the educated man and the peasant. From Stories to Get by G.B. Morris. Another inspirational story. Okay, let's start. Once upon a time, there was a young man from Bucharest who had just finished university. He was proud of his knowledge and smarts, and so decided to leave the big city and make his way teaching peasants in the countryside. Immediately, he was met with difficulties. He found the people didn't take too kindly to being considered more stupid than he. For he was 22, and most of the people that he met were much older. If he was to teach them, he would have proved that he was smarter. Feeling confident of his powers, he made a wager with the peasant. If the peasant couldn't answer the educated man's question, then the peasant would have to hand over 3 lei. The educated man chuckled to himself. "This is going to be easy money." The entire village gathered to witness the quiz. The educated man asked the first question. What is the capital of England? The peasant answered. I don't know. I will give you 3 lei. London. The people gasped. They were impressed. The educated man pocketed the money and asked a second question. What moves very fast but doesn't look like it is moving at all? The peasant answered, I don't know. I will give you 3 lei. The earth. The educated man pocketed the money and asked a third question. What goes up in the day and down at night? The peasant answered, I don't know. I will give you 3 lei. The educated man had taken from the peasant a total of 9 lei. Now the peasant was poor and his wife started to cry. However, at his turn, the peasant also wished to ask the educated man a question, but if he could not answer it, he would have to hand over 1,000 lei to the peasant. The educated man quickly agreed and thought to himself, this surely a fool. What goes in the morning with 2 legs at noon, with 4 legs in the evening, with 6 legs? There was a long silence and everyone was staring at the educated man. He searched his brain for a long time, but to no avail. He did not know the answer and had a choice but to hand over 5,000 lei, which was everything he had. Afterwards, the educated man was curious and so asked, so what goes in the morning with 2 legs, at noon with 4, and in the evening with 6? The peasant answered, I don't know. I will give you 3 lei. Okay, this time let's have another activity. You have to enumerate at least 3 characters from the given story in any order. Okay. Okay, for activity number 2, you have to answer the questions by explaining your answer based on the given selection. Write your answers on the blanks. So this is for 4 points. The question is, who was smarter, the educated man or the peasant? And why? So we have the criteria. Outstanding is for 4 points. Explanation shows thorough reasoning and insightful justification. For 3 points, satisfactory. Explanation shows substantial reasoning. For 2 points, developing. Explanation shows gaps in reasoning. And for 1 point, that's for beginning, explanation shows illogical reasoning. Okay.